Hey, hi everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I've been playing around with different ways to share my screen, and I think I figured it out. There we go. This is very touchy. My name is Alexa K. Apallas. I'm really excited to be speaking with you here at Content Strategy Seattle. And I'm speaking because I want to offer a message of hope and resilience to anyone who is currently experiencing a layoff or who fears being laid off in these uncertain times. I'll be sharing what to do right now if you're affected by a layoff, or what to do right now if you're worried about a layoff, what to do immediately if you are laid off, and how to keep moving forward, even if you feel like your life will never be the same. So, welcome to the worst 12 months of my life. And I survived non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at age 26. So, for me to call these 12 months the worst of my life is really saying something. I had chemo and radiation. I lost all my hair, and I had such severe damage to my throat, to my esophagus from the radiation that I couldn't eat or drink anything without taking liquid Vicodin ahead of time. And still, the months after my layoff were worse. So, as you heard, I started out in magazine journalism. I transitioned to marketing, content copywriting. I ultimately left a pretty toxic job in a marketing department to start freelancing. And that's when I began working with tech companies, on blogs and white papers. And I became kind of a ghostwriter for a lot of software as a service companies. And I got hired through an agency called Secret Sushi to rewrite the content rules website for Val Swisher, who is known for her work in content reuse and content automation, and effective translation. And when the head of the agency told me that he'd pitched me as the writer to Val, he said, "She says she's never heard of you." And I said, "Who's heard of copywriters?" Of course, she's never heard of me. But apparently, Val had worked with a lot of writers previously, and was known to be very tough on writers. But she and I got along swimmingly, and she ended up being really pleased with the work that I did. And that's where I started to realize that content design, beyond just copywriting, was a great match for my skills, for my background in journalism, for my ability to ask relevant questions, for my ability to put complex concepts into plain language. And Val referred me to PayPal because she knew that they were looking for a contract content designer. And um, I started in September of 2016, but there was a catch. I was living in San Diego at that time, and the role was on site at PayPal's office in San Jose. But I spoke with the hiring manager, and the job sounded fascinating. The hourly rate was amazing, and the hiring manager just wasn't finding the talent that she needed in the Bay Area, probably because everybody already had jobs. So she was willing to have me come up to the office 2 days a week and work remotely the rest of the time. So I started flying up from San Diego to San Jose on Tuesday mornings, and I would fly back on Wednesday evenings. And that went really well for 6 months. For the first 3 months, I did fly up every single week. And after that, I renegotiated my travel schedule, and I was able to come up every other week and fly in on Tuesday and stay through Thursday. So, same number of days in office, but it was nice to not be on a plane every single week. So, I earned a bunch of frequent flyer points. I earned, titanium elite status with Marriott's Bonvoy. And I felt like everything was going really well. I loved the team that I was working with. I was getting great feedback on my work. And then in May of 2017, PayPal said, "Hey, what if we could hire you full time?" And I said, "I thought I would have to relocate to San Jose for you to hire me full time." And they said, "No, actually, we've come up with a way that we can hire you and you don't have to relocate. And I said, okay, I'm interested. And who pays for the travel? And they said, still you. And I said, well, let me think about it. But they made me an offer. And with the salary and equity that they were offering, it was going to be worth my while to continue commuting. And so I accepted. And I loved the challenges that I was solving. I managed to advance pretty quickly after coming on full time from individual contributor to a management role. And that's what moved me over to more of the merchant side of PayPal, working with small businesses and our merchant offerings. And then I was promoted to senior manager, all the way up to director of content design for merchant services. I had really great annual reviews. One year, I even earned a key talent award for all the contributions that I had made. And I was feeling pretty confident. But after 8 years, I was unceremoniously shown the door. And that was when things took a real downturn for me. And at that point, it just kept getting worse. I experienced debilitating anxiety and depression, a loss of a sense of self-worth, a lack of desire to even try anymore. And really, I was one of the lucky ones. I found a new role after only about 3 months. It was a 6-month contract role and it was individual contributor, but it was something. And this was really important. I needed to be making money. Even with my severance pay, my husband was experiencing the worst downturn in his freelance motion design business. And so he really wasn't bringing in any income. So we really needed the money. And feeling hopeless or like life has no purpose after being laid off is very, very common. So I spoke with a few people in preparing this talk, and content strategist Rebecca Harper of Rebecca Harper Consulting gave me some really great insight into what being laid off was like for her. In her own words, she said, after being laid off in December 2024, I felt a sense of purposelessness. Despite my best efforts, I had come to define myself and my value in terms of what I did for a living. I really questioned without a job, who was I? Thankfully, I had a healthy emergency fund, so I didn't have to rush into finding a new role right away. I packed up my dogs and we spent a month doing things that I enjoyed. I love hiking, reading, doing jigsaw puzzles, watching professional tennis, and spending quality time with loved ones on Vancouver Island. This time away from work was critical in reminding myself that I am so much more than what I do for a living during this time away. A really great opportunity presented itself to me organically, and I pursued that opportunity with a calm and patient mindset. When it didn't work out, I was able to rebound more gently after feeling some initial disappointment. And then I decided to focus on relaunching my business. And that's been enormously successful in the last year. Knowing my worth outside of my professional title has kept me grounded and optimistic, while having an emergency fund gives me the freedom to pursue projects that align with my values and pass on those that don't. So, now let me tell you a little bit about how I coped. And spoiler alert, not all that well. So, in order of healthiest to least healthy, this is what I was doing. Strength training, outdoor walks, reading novels were all really helpful in helping me stay feeling like I was okay. They were definitely healthy habits. And then there was Ativan as prescribed by a doctor and used in consultation with him. I was experiencing such debilitating anxiety that I was taking 0.5 milligram of Ativan every day just to keep from feeling like I was falling apart. And my psychiatrist was aware of this. He knew from past experience with me that I do not have an addictive personality. So he was okay with this. But then there was wine, and I knew I was drinking wine just a little too frequently. But this was a ridiculously difficult time for me between our financial struggles, my parents' health downturns, and I felt like I was doing what I had to do to survive, even though it might not have been the healthiest option. So now let's talk about what you can do to prepare yourself if you think you might be about to be laid off. It starts with recognizing the signs that a layoff could be coming. So, in hindsight, the signs were there for me. I should have known, and if I had, I could have been a little bit more prepared. The first sign you want to watch out for is that you get a new manager and a new VP. That happened for me. There was a big shakeup on the merchant side at PayPal, and we had a new VP of design, and then a new manager was brought over as senior director of content design over me in merchant services. And that really should have been a clue that, hey, PayPal probably really doesn't need a senior director of design and senior director of content design and a director of content design in the same space, but I didn't catch on. So then the next sign is that you start being left out of key decisions. I had a couple of open roles on my team, and I had been actively reviewing resumes and doing initial screens with candidates. But when the new senior director of content design came in, she consulted with our new VP of design and the new senior director of user research, and they decided that the three of them were going to be the only people reviewing resumes and interviewing candidates. I was definitely being cut out of the loop. So, sign number three, your senior colleagues start disappearing. My previous manager had gone on sabbatical, and a lot of times people come back from sabbatical and they're renewed and refreshed. And other times people don't, either because they've decided that they prefer a change of pace, they found a new opportunity that's better for them, something like that. So when this person didn't come back from sabbatical and we got an email saying she wasn't returning to PayPal, I didn't think much of it. I really thought it had been her choice to step away. I'd had conversations with her where, she was starting to think about retirement. So I really thought, she's just done what's best for her. But then I found out this wasn't her choice at all. She had been laid off. And about a month later, when I was on a business trip with some colleagues in New York in early September, we heard from the senior director of design that he was being laid off. He sent us some really quick Slack messages before his account access was cut off. And my colleagues and I were all shocked. But at the same time, we expected that there was probably going to be a certain amount of house cleaning with the new VP of design. And it did seem like the VP of design and the senior director of design might be the type of people who would clash or have very different ways of working. And still, I didn't catch on that my time was coming soon. The final sign was that my new manager just stopped responding to me. That that was when I realized that things were very bad indeed. She wasn't responding to my pings, she wasn't responding to my emails, and that should have been a very clear indicator that something was really wrong. But I did not put it all together until the next week at our regularly scheduled one-to-one when I got there and a representative from HR was already on the call. And then I finally figured it out. I asked, hey, what's going on? And the HR representative said, well, let's just wait a few minutes for your manager to join. And it all happened very quickly from there. So here's what I had wished I'd known. The first thing is you really need a brag book of your own work, and you need to save it on your personal computer. I had samples of my work all packaged up nicely on my work computer, but that did me no good when I lost all system access within minutes of being laid off. Connect with your colleagues on LinkedIn and be proactive about it. Add new people to your network whenever you're on a project together and start asking for recommendations while you're still employed. It's best to do this when you've recently worked with someone on a project and your contributions can be fresh in their minds. Now, keep your resume up to date. You should be refreshing your resume after every major project completion and career accomplishment. That way, your contributions, as well as your business impact, will be easy for you to remember. Remember, metrics and results, business results, when you cite those on your resume, that's what really makes you stand out. And this is a little bit sad. Be prepared to be ghosted by your former colleagues after you're laid off, at least for a little while. That's why I say make sure to connect with them and ask for those recommendations while you're still employed. When I posted about my layoff on LinkedIn, there was a really initial lovely outpouring of support, and I got some really kind words from many of my colleagues, and some of them did write me recommendations right away. But after that, whenever I posted something about my job search or an update, there was this weird kind of silence from everybody that I used to work with. And they're definitely all busy. I was let go. I wasn't the only one. And so they were shorthanded. They didn't have as many colleagues to work with anymore. And there's definitely some survivor's guilt for the people who are still there after a layoff. I felt it myself after losing some people on my team earlier. And it's it's just a tough time to stay in touch with somebody who has been let go. And they kind of kept their distance for a while. All right, now I want to talk about what was going on meanwhile during all of this layoff and coping and coming to grips with what I was trying to do next. So I was dealing with a health issue for women of a certain age. And I would ask you to guess, but you are all muted. So I will just tell you. I couldn't think, I couldn't make decisions. I felt like my brain was broken. I was either really irritable or really weepy all of the time. What was going on? It was not perimenopause. That would have been a good guess. But when I went to my doctor to talk about all the hot flashes that I was having and these other symptoms, she did blood work and came back and told me that I was actually postmenopausal. And you might be wondering, how does this happen? How could you not recognize this? Well, I had fibroids, and so I had an IUD, and that meant I never got a period. So I had no idea that I was missing periods. I had no idea that I had had all the symptoms of perimenopause, that I had been through menopause and was now postmenopausal. And this happened actually before I got laid off and I started hormone replacement therapy. And I thought, okay, I'm on the mend. Turns out I was not on the right dose at all. And hormone replacement therapy can be so beneficial, but if you are not on the right dose, you will keep having symptoms. And that's where a lot of this brain fog came in and this inability to make a decision came in. And I was able to mask decently well because I was in this new role 3 months after being laid off. But it was a real challenge and it took all of my energy to be able to do that. So let's go back to what you should do and what you should not do after you have been laid off. And the very first thing is do not feel pressured into signing any paperwork right away. You may be told that it's essential that you sign, that you won't get your agreed upon health benefits if you don't sign, that your severance may be delayed if you don't sign. And those things may be true, but you still owe it to yourself to read all of the paperwork and even consult with a lawyer before you decide to sign. So the severance package can be very dense. It will probably outline any severance pay you may get, any additional support you may get, like help searching for a new job, how long your health insurance will be covered for, all kinds of things like that. So make sure that you really understand it. And sometimes these things are negotiable. I tried to negotiate for my end date to be moved back so that the 20-year anniversary trip I had planned to Portugal with my husband would still be covered by PTO. And that was taking place just a few weeks after I was officially noticed no, given notice of my layoff. I also asked that my stock vesting move up so that I wouldn't lose out on the RSUs that I'd been granted that were due to vest in early November. So I did hire a lawyer to write that letter for me. Unfortunately, both of those requests were denied, but I was glad that I at least made the effort to negotiate for myself anyway. So do file for unemployment benefits immediately. Yes, even if you got a severance package, you will be required to disclose your severance pay in your unemployment application, but you paid into the system with every single paycheck. Your employer paid for unemployment insurance, and so did you. So now you deserve to get something back. You paid for it, and you're probably going to need every penny you can lay your hands on, especially right now when so many people are out of work and seeking new roles. And this is really, really important. Don't surround yourself with energy vampires. And yes, this is a reference to What We Do in the Shadows. I'm talking to you, Colin Robinson. Support groups can be amazingly helpful, but be wary of falling into a pit of despair and self-pity. If you spend all of your time with people who are depressed and fearful, it can be tough to rally your spirits again. Their negative energy can start rubbing off on you. You can feel like, well, this is the way it's going to be. This is the way everyone I know is reacting, and nothing good is going to happen again. Really try to avoid that. Try to find people among your friend group who are feeling cheerful and optimistic. Their energy might inspire you. You might find that if you volunteer with a group or an organization, you meet people who get really inspired by giving back, and that might brighten your own spirits. And then do be circumspect in what you say and in what you post. It's very, very common for severance packages to contain a non-disparagement clause. And if you don't have anything nice to say about your past employer, do not say anything at all, especially on social media, even on Blind, where you might think you're anonymous. You are likely to be monitored, and I know people who had their severance pay clawed back after making some negative comments and venting about their layoffs. So just don't risk it. It is not worth it. So this is another important point that I learned after the fact. Don't start your job search while you're still grieving. If you're feeling sad and angry, you won't interview well. And I know from personal experience, I did not give myself time to mourn after I was laid off. I felt like I had to jump into an action immediately. I was worried about money. I thought that if I stayed busy, I would be less depressed. So I set about getting my website set up and sending out resumes, putting my portfolio site together. And I was thrilled when I landed an interview at Block just a couple of weeks later. And I passed the initial screen, but my portfolio review was a disaster, an absolute unmitigated disaster. I still cringe when I think about it. I didn't really have good work samples set up yet. So I shared some immediately accessible work that it really was not my best. And that did not do me any favors, and I did not hear from Block again. At the same time, months later, 40% of the Block staff got cut and laid off just a few months into 2026. So it all worked out okay for me in the end. This is advice that worked really well for me. putting in some effort because I know that when I look good, I feel better. And you might find value in that as well. This is a lesson I learned when I was a cancer patient, and I took a course called Look Good, Feel Better through the American Cancer Society. And they taught us makeup tricks and they taught us how to like style wigs or scarves and like how to fill in our eyebrows if we lost our eyebrows from chemo. I really realized that if I looked sick, I would feel sicker. And the more I could do to keep my appearance up as usual, the better I felt. And so for me, I'd always worn makeup. I kept wearing makeup. I had always worn colors and colors that I liked. And so I kept doing that. And life, I know it's so hard during a layoff. And you might just want to lounge around the house and be in your comfy pajamas or just your coziest sweats. And you do not need to put on structured pants every day. You do not need to wear hard pants. Life is hard enough as it is. And I wear sweats all the time, even now when I'm working from home. But I put on a top that's going to show on the video, and then nobody can see my sweats underneath. So, or maybe buy yourself a cute pair of matching sweats. Just whatever gives you a little boost of energy. Take a shower, take care of your hair. I promise that doing those little self-care steps will help you feel better. You cannot spend all of your time looking for a job and maintain your mental health. It's just too much. You will feel overwhelmed and you'll also become very boring to your friends and family because you will have nothing else to talk about besides your job search. So pursue other skills and interests or just get outside for part of the day. Your mental health will thank you. Get exercise, even if you just walk around the block once or twice a day. It's so important to move your body. It can help your mood, it can help with anxiety, it can help prevent depression, and it can even help prevent some weight gain if you're indulging in comfort foods a little more often than normal, which is totally, totally a thing that happens. Happened to me. I wanted mashed potatoes all the time. I definitely did some drowning of my feelings in food and wine and chocolate. So just spend some time on self-care because you are still a person of value and you deserve it. Now I'm going to switch gears and talk about what made me hireable because I did get that offer for a 6-month contract with Eventbrite just 3 months after I was laid off with PayPal. And I know people who are still unemployed after a year or more of searching for a job. And what was so important to me was adjusting my expectations. When I started searching for a new job, I quickly realized that there were very few job opportunities at the director level, at the senior manager level, or even at the manager level. So I really had to recalibrate my expectations. And I decided that the best course of action for me was to pivot back to being an individual contributor. I really enjoy the hands-on work. I had remained very hands-on even when I was a director at PayPal because we were always kind of short-staffed. And I now know, looking back, that if I had remained too proud to take a lower title or a pay cut, I might very well still be unemployed. So highlighting my critical thinking skills was so crucial to being able to find a new job and present my portfolio work. In my presentation to Google, which I am happy to share with you if you want to get in touch with me, I didn't just show what I had written or the final results. I really talked through my entire thought process. I detailed how I made decisions, what trade-offs I had to consider, how I collaborated with product designers, product managers, researchers, and lawyers, and how I overcame roadblocks, especially when legal raised specific objections about not saying it like this or not saying it like that, and how I was able to come to a compromise. And that, I think, is what really set me apart from other candidates. And connections also really helped me out, and so did having an open mind. I was on LinkedIn regularly, even though I wasn't applying for like 20 or 30 jobs a day, sorry, 20 or 30 jobs a day. I was trying to be targeted and apply for jobs that I felt truly matched my skill set. And then I saw that one of my former managers from PayPal was hiring for a role at YouTube. And so I reached out to her directly and we connected. She was a little bit skeptical at first that I truly wanted to return to IC work and relocate to the Bay Area. But I was able to explain my rationale and let her know how much I enjoyed IC work and that I had done a lot of it even as a director because we didn't have enough content designers on staff. And also that I really did want to move to be closer to my family. So she passed my name on to the recruiter. And because she and I knew each other, she couldn't participate in the interview process. So instead, I interviewed with her manager and several of her colleagues. And I made it to the portfolio review and I got really good feedback, which was so encouraging. But ultimately, YouTube decided to hire a candidate with really specific experience in privacy settings because that's what they needed for this role. However, because my feedback was so positive, the recruiter offered to share my resume with some other hiring managers. And she asked if I would be interested in pursuing that. And yeah, you bet I was. So I spoke with a couple of additional hiring managers, and one role on the search team really stood out to me. So after that, I spoke with the hiring manager's manager, and I had one more conversation with the hiring manager, and then I got an offer. It all happened really fast. I didn't have to do another presentation because I'd already gotten feedback on that presentation. So I was very lucky to be able to move quickly. And then a positive and kind attitude really goes a long way. Being pleasant, somebody who's easy to work with, somebody that people enjoy working with matters so much, especially when it's backed up by talent. When I was hiring, I could kind of tell which people were super talented, but maybe had a little bit of drama that would accompany them or were a little bit of a prima donna. And then when I talked to people who were equally talented, but seemed like really collaborative, really teamwork oriented, that was a real difference for me. Like that person would always have the edge. And even at my lowest, I did my best to be really kind and friendly to others. And I didn't feel like I was doing my best work at Eventbrite, partly because of the brain fog, partly because I was having such trouble making decisions. I kept doing the work and I kept showing up for my design partners. I was open to feedback, I remained collaborative, and all of that made a really big difference. So here's what happened. My contract was up at Eventbrite, and I had started interviewing with Google and with Apple. And I told Eventbrite that, I needed to plan for my future. I couldn't risk not having a job once my contract was up. So I was pursuing these other opportunities. And they said, well, we really want to keep you on. And I said, okay, let me know. And they extended my contract by a couple of weeks. And then they made me a full-time job offer. And I was still interviewing with Google and Apple, but I felt like, I need a full-time job. My Cobra payments were outrageous for my health insurance and my husband's health insurance. So I took the offer from Eventbrite, and it was exciting to feel like I was really part of the team then. Um, and then and then a month later, I got the offer from Google, and I was really nervous about telling Eventbrite, but my manager was so supportive and he was like, hey, we're Eventbrite, they're Google. You got to take it. So that's what I did. But remember, a new job won't fix everything. Layoffs are traumatic. You could be numb for a while. You might really be dealing with some post-layoff stress. I got the offer from Google at the end of August. and they wanted me to start within 2 weeks. And I said, I can start within 2 weeks, but I can't relocate in 2 weeks. I have to find a place to live, first of all. My relocation benefits included taking a trip to find new accommodations. So we very quickly planned a trip over Labor Day weekend to find a place to live. And I grew up in Novato in Marin County, so I am familiar with the Bay Area. My role was going to be located in San Francisco, not Mountain View. So that was also comforting to me because I had more familiarity with that area. We had lived in downtown San Diego for 3 years, and we were pretty confident that we did not want to do city living again. So we were really focused on Marin as a place to live. And I was officially born in San Francisco. It's on my birth certificate, but I never actually lived there. And the places in the city that we were looking at, just to keep an open mind, were really far from my office. That's in our price range. It was going to be about a 45-minute commute to the office. Anyway, so we refocused our search in Marin, and I said, hey, we have to be south of this specific exit. Otherwise, my commute is going to be horrific with traffic. And there were 5 units available in Marin south of that point, under $5,000, with the specific things that we wanted. So 5. It was very stressful, but we found a very quirky, but cute rental home in central San Rafael. And now I take the ferry to work, and it is lovely. Um, So we got the lease signed and I started work on September 15th. And meanwhile, like we're getting ready for the movers to come and I'm trying to work. But Google refused to ship my laptop to me because they said, you're supposed to be in Northern California. And I said, yes, but remember, I can't relocate in 2 weeks. And they said, yes, yes, we know, but we still can't ship your laptop there. And then so I had it shipped to a friend in Northern California and it didn't arrive in time for my first day. So my first day, I had no laptop. I was at such a loss about what I was going to do. And then I finally got the notification that my laptop was going to arrive Tuesday. So I took a last minute flight up to the Bay Area, rented a car, drove to my friend's house, waited for the laptop to show up. Luckily, her husband, who's also my friend, works from home and he's in IT. So, he was like, just hang out. I'm working upstairs. My laptop finally showed up. And getting it set up and troubleshooting that with Google IT was a whole process. And then I jumped in my rental car and drove back to the airport and flew home and it was just it was just so much. And, even when we were up in the Bay Area looking for places to live, I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. When I told Apple that I'd gotten the offer from Google, they said, great, great, great. Can you come up in person to Culver City from San Diego just one more time? We really want to meet you in person. And I was like, I'll think about it. And then we took the ferry when we were looking for places to live. We took the ferry into San Francisco to see what my commute might be like. And I burst into tears because I had no idea if I was doing the right thing by taking the Google job. I didn't know if I should just stay in San Diego and continue working for Eventbrite, if I should keep going with Apple. And it was it was just so hard. And I should mention that on Friday, September 12th, just a few days before I started, my mom, who has Alzheimer's disease, was admitted to the hospital for emergency surgery. She had fallen and she had broken her femur, and this was just a real blow for my whole family to get her the best care possible and understand what would come next for her and for my dad. She and my dad had been living together. She had a part-time caretaker, but we realized that my dad was having his own memory issues and wouldn't be able to care for her if she recovered at home. So she was admitted to a skilled nursing facility, and we found her a spot in an assisted living place just a few miles from where the rest of my family lives in Napa. But this is all going on while I am trying to get my career at Google off on the right foot. And then my husband didn't move up until a week after I did because his mom, who is in fantastic shape, thank goodness, was turning 80 and she was having a birthday party and he needed to attend that. And she understood that I couldn't make it, but it was uh, that meant I had to deal with the movers all on my own. So they packed up our stuff on a Wednesday. They loaded the truck on a Thursday. We moved into a hotel for a couple of days in San Diego while I was still trying to work. I drove up to San Diego on Saturday, spent the night in a hotel there, and then came to our place and waited for the movers Sunday morning. And then we had to have special movers come on Monday to like set up all our electronics and our adjustable bed. And I was so rattled and so just like stressed out by what was going on. I didn't realize that my moving contract would have would have let me say to the movers, hey, I want you to unpack everything too. I did not say that. So they got the furniture in position. I had them set up a lamp, but they didn't even fully set it up. And then I was like, well, I guess you can go. And I sat on the couch in the living room with a bare bulb in that lamp because they lost the connector part for the lampshade. And I would pour myself a glass of wine and just sit there and stare into space. And it was really grim. But slowly things started to get better. Greg joined me after a week. We made progress on unpacking. We got rid of some boxes and things just started to feel lighter. I was able to go see my mom and visit her in the nursing facility, and I got to see the rest of my family. And my commute turned out to be super easy. I love taking the ferry, and it's great to be able to walk so quickly to my office. I feel so lucky. And I started after a month or so, I really started getting the hang of this big, complicated project that I was specifically hired to work on. And then I knew I was getting better the day I recycled a giant bag of dead batteries. We're talking a gallon Ziploc stuffed to the brim. And I had carried this bag of batteries around with me for years. It had moved with me from Carlsbad to when we moved into our condo in downtown San Diego. And it moved with me again 3 years later when we sold the condo and decided to start renting again to see if maybe interest rates would come back down. So foolish. But it was time to leave downtown San Diego anyway, which is very dirty, not clean, quite disgusting, much dirtier than San Francisco, which I know will come as a shock to a lot of people. Anyway, then it moved with me again to San Rafael. In all those years, I never found the time or the energy to get to a hazardous waste collection event, find a store where I could drop them in a recycling bin. I just held on to them and I kept adding to that bag. And then one day while I was in the office at Google, I realized that there was a battery recycling cylinder just 2 aisles over from my desk. A week later, I did it. I bundled the Ziploc bag of batteries into my work bag and I dumped them into the cylinder. These batteries were so old that they were starting to leak acid. I washed my hands repeatedly after recycling them. I threw away the Ziploc bag and I just felt lighter. I just felt more confident. I felt ready to handle life again. And now I can safely say that I am thriving once more. Moving back to Marin has been so gratifying. I'm able to spend time with my family, my parents, my two younger brothers, my sister-in-law, my two nephews, my aunt, who's my mom's sister, a cousin and his wife, and two daughters. And my husband is also thriving up here. He's an avid mountain biker and he's part of a mountain bike gang that takes Wednesday night rides each week. And his motion design business has really taken off. He wrapped up work on Steven Spielberg's upcoming summer blockbuster that's being released on Friday. It's called Disclosure Day. His name is going to be in the credits. I mean, yeah, like way, way down in the credits, but it's still going to be in there. And we are going to see the film in IMAX, and I'm very excited. Um, it definitely has not all been positive by any means because that's the way life goes. Um, in March, my dad was also diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And we managed to get him to take a final trip to Greece, where he immigrated from when he was 12. He came over with his parents and my aunt, his sister. She's since moved back to Greece, but I planned the whole trip for him. And I got him to the airport, which was no easy feat. I packed his bag for him. But then when I went through his toiletry kit, I realized that he himself had packed in what was supposed to be his carry-on a cigar cutter, a pair of scissors, loose razor blades, a pocket knife, and four pairs of headphones. So we got that sorted out, luckily, before we got to the airport. And I was able to take him right to the gate. He still managed to get a pocket knife through TSA security. And they really are not big fans of you doing that at all. So they found the knife. They said, you can't keep this. And my dad was like, I'm not surrendering it. And I said, Dad, we don't have a lot of options. He was like, I'm not surrendering that knife. And he was starting to get agitated. And I said, look, he has Alzheimer's disease. What can I do? And they said, well, you can take it out to your car. I said, we took a driver. We have a driver bring us here. I don't have a car. And at this point, my dad was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Apologies for the language. And I was like, Dad, go sit down, be quiet, do not say another word. Because the last thing I needed him to do was get banned from this flight. So finally, they said, you're going to have to go out through security, leave it at this mail drop center, and come back through security. And so I said, Dad, do not move, do not talk to anyone, stay here. I came back through security, everything was fine. And then I got to him and he was like, I'm going to miss my flight now. I said, no, Dad, you are not going to miss your flight. He made it on the flight. I talked to the gate agent. I was like, look, he has Alzheimer's. Please convey it to the flight attendants. He needs wheelchair transport during his layover because he needs to get to the gate in time. And then my aunt picked him up in Thessaloniki, and we did it. We did it. He made it back home safely. But I was also diagnosed with not one, but two disabilities in the past 4 months. I found out I have hereditary hearing loss, and I now have hearing aids. And I also have a swallowing disorder brought on by all the radiation I received 24 years ago during my cancer treatment. And so I've been coping with that, working with a speech pathologist, and really learning how to do some exercise to strengthen my muscles. And um, yeah, it's a lot. It's been a lot of care for my family, care for myself. Um, we need to repurpose or sell my parents' property on the Silverado Trail in Napa because assisted living is very, very expensive. And, I worry. I worry for myself about how many lucid years I might have left, given this family history of Alzheimer's disease. But I'm so grateful that I got this job at Google. I started working there almost exactly 12 months after losing my job at PayPal, and I'm much happier now. I don't need Ativan anymore. I feel like I'm really living again. And that gives me confidence that if you've been laid off, you can thrive again too. Thank you so much for listening to my talk. I hope it gave you just a little bit of an uplifted feeling. I hope it gave you some positive energy. I hope it gave you some hope. Feel free to email me at alexa@alexakapalus.com or connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know if you'd like me to share the presentation that I gave at Google or the one that's slightly different that got me through 11 rounds of interviews at Apple. Thank you all so much for joining, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alexa, and for sharing so much about your journey and where you've gotten to, which sounds like a fantastic place. And I know a number of people on the call have been someplace similar as well. And if anyone has questions or looking for advice or tips from Alexa, definitely drop them in the chat and we'll get to them in the next few minutes. Alexa, you mentioned a couple of things within the talk I wanted to touch on a little bit. You mentioned a little bit about your brag book, starting a portfolio and updating your resume and LinkedIn every time you have a big project. It sounds like you're in a position to do that in your previous roles. And sometimes when you're laid off, you don't really have a chance to do that. You might have 5 minutes between the, hey, here's a Zoom invite, and boom, systems access is gone. What
Yeah.
tips might you have for people who might be in that situation and need to suddenly create a portfolio or something with information and materials they might not have?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was very lucky because I had good relationships with my former colleagues, and they helped me dig up some of my past work. It was all live, so there was no concern about being under a non-disclosure agreement. And they found a deck that we had done as sort of a retrospective when that project launched, and they were able to share that with me. And that was a huge help. Other than that, I just went back through PayPal in general and sort of cobbled together screens that I know that I had worked on that were live. But that's why it's so, so, so important to start when you still have a job to really document and capture all of that. And that's advice that I am personally taking myself right now because the project that I have worked on at Google for 9 months has just started rolling out live in the US. I just got the email at my personal Gmail account. And if you have a Gmail account, you should be getting this email too. It is about two new privacy settings called Search Services History and Personalized Recommendations. And I worked on all that content. I wrote that email in conjunction with what feels like 27 lawyers, project managers, regulatory affairs people, compliance specialists, the communications department, the director of communications at Google, and outside counsel. So I have screenshotted the live version that I received to my Gmail account, and I am updating my resume in the next couple of days. Also, I should note that it's really, really important to take care of yourself. I actually, after this project launched, we still have a lot of work to do to roll it out to other countries. But because of the situation with my parents and my dad increasingly having trouble distinguishing reality from what he thinks is going on, I am taking some leave. I'm currently on carer's leave from Google, and I will be out for at least 8 weeks. And that was a hard decision for me to make because I did feel like, I've got to see the rest of this launch through. But, you know, jobs come and go, family comes and goes too, and I'd rather spend time with family.
Absolutely. Now we have a couple questions in the chat. And Cynthia, I think you had raised your hand, and it looks like we've unmuted you. Did you have a question?
Yeah, hi Alexa. It's good to see
Hey,
you again.
Cynthia, nice
This
to
is
see you
Delbert.
again.
And thank you for that talk and thank you for sharing so much about, you know, everything health and family and my heart just goes out to you for everything you've been through. But I really admire your resilience and your fortitude. So my question is, did you have any kind of a system to keep yourself organized while you were job hunting? Because in the times that I've looked for work, I find that it makes me feel better to be more organized with my notes than if it's like just in a notebook and I'm, a million post-its everywhere.
Yeah, great question. So, what really helped me was having a resume structure that I felt very solid about, but that I could easily customize for the role if I felt like I needed to. And I would save those versions with different names. Sometimes I would even give them the name of the company or the role that I was applying for. And then I also created a really solid base cover letter. A lot of people don't write cover letters anymore. I always did because I wanted to take any opportunity I could to share a little bit more about myself. And so I had a really good base structure that I felt like worked for me. And then I would add in specific details that were relevant to the role. And again, it was keeping track of those versions, renaming them as appropriate. I also made a list of the companies that I applied to and when. And LinkedIn, a lot of times I was going through LinkedIn. And so that LinkedIn creates an automatic list, but I liked having my own list as well. I didn't use Easy Apply very much. If there wasn't an option to apply with a full application through LinkedIn, I would go and find the job on the career site of that company and apply that way. But just knowing when I had applied and also keeping track of if I heard back um, helped me feel like I was being organized and really being productive with my time. And sometimes sometimes I would get an email back pretty quickly saying, no, not interested. Other times I wouldn't hear, and I would, send another email like, oh, I see this role is still listed. I'm very much still interested. And if I had something interesting going on, I would relay that back. But uh, I do think documenting your efforts is a real key to making it feel like you're not just spinning your wheels, because you can look back and see, oh, I did this stuff. I did this today. I did that the other day. I'm not just sitting around and wallowing in self-pity.
Thank you.
Excellent. And I think Elena, you had a question as well.
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the talk, by the way. Uh I was wondering if you know, or if in your opinion what is the most important thing to get back into the work force. I've been laid off, like I was laid off 1 year ago,
Mhm.
and after during that year, I also had to go through some um, personal stuff that happened,
Mhm.
later during those days. And now I like to go back to work. What I wonder is, like, after a year, it feels like, oh, I haven't been basically updated it with
Mhm.
technology, especially, right? In a
Mhm.
year, 1 year is in technology is being it's kind of like a lot of time, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So what would be like the most important thing to help me to go back to the workforce?
Yeah, that's such an important question. What I would say is let go of any shame or discomfort you might feel about the length of your layoff, because these days it is not uncommon. And especially if you had personal issues, um, there's no shame in that. I would say get really comfortable with two sentences that say, I was laid off on this date. I went through some personal challenges that prevented me from actively seeking work. I am now eager to dive into the workforce again, and I have done X training, Y training, whatever it is. Like, I hate to say it, but maybe take some courses on how AI works. Because I definitely don't think that everybody needs to use AI for content design or product design. I do think everyone should understand how AI works and how to prompt effectively, because it's the hype, right? It's the hype right now, and employers do want to know that you have some familiarity with it. So those are the two big pieces of advice that I would give. Let go of the shame. Feel confident in, I guess three really. Let go of the shame, feel confident in telling your own story, and do some experimentation with AI just so that you can be knowledgeable about what this really big tool is and how it works.
Excellent. Thank you. And I think it's like April raised her hand and has a question. April.
Hi, hi. Thank you for
Hi.
sharing, and ditto to the last person and what she said. Uh, it's I'm glad you got into AI because that has to do with my question right now. Um,
Hmm.
Applying for jobs, a lot of it is managed by AI, and
Ah.
I feel like I am not even making it past. I made it past, and I've been through 4 sessions of interviews with companies, and then I get dropped. But then most of them I don't feel like I'm making it through. What is a
Mm.
good strategy to get through that? Because it just seems like that's the world today. Getting a job before used to be a lot easier. It was a lot more
Hmm.
personable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm getting that's getting me down. I'm feeling like
Yeah.
I'm not hearing silence. It hurts.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. I actually had an AI only interview once and I passed, but I hated the whole experience.
Yeah.
I think personally, this is just my opinion, not reflective of my employer. I personally think that having an AI screen is a bad strategy. A lot of people are not comfortable selling themselves. They're not comfortable on camera. And so I think those companies are doing otherwise qualified candidates a real disservice. However, it does seem like these initial AI screens are more and more likely. So my best advice to you would be to practice. Get in front of a mirror, get in front of a camera, get in front of a friend, and practice answers to commonly asked questions. Get a really good script down. So, for the question like, so tell me about yourself. That doesn't, I'm sure you know, that doesn't mean tell me about your hobbies and interests. It means tell me about your strengths and what you've accomplished recently. So, I am a big fan of scripting answers and practicing those answers until they feel like natural conversation. I mean, of course, you don't want to feel like you're reading from a script, but you do want to feel like you are confident and you know what you're talking about. And then just please try not to beat yourself up because, again, like some of these uses of I strongly believe will be a flash in the pan. And really milk your network for whatever you can. Like I said, personal connections help me so much. And if you see a company hiring and you have a connection that maybe isn't even a first connection to someone at that company, reach out. Like maybe they won't respond, but maybe they will. I have referred several people, people whose work I know, to Google, even if we're not super close. And then I'm always willing to answer people's questions about their resume, about their portfolio. So lean on your network whenever you can.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
welcome.
Excellent. Thank you, April. We have a couple of other questions. I'll get to one that's in the chat from Jesse. It looks like Jesse, you're unmuted as well. But Alexia, you shared a ton about what you've gone through the past few years and everything from health issues to family issues. A lot of those are relevant to the job search, and especially when you're interviewing for a role. And at the same time, it can feel like maybe it's too personal.
Mm.
What advice might you be able to share for what to share and what not to share? Jesse, does that paraphrase your question accurately?
It does. I mean, I appreciate the broadening of the scope. Alexa, for reference, my question in the chat really did focus on the perimenopause and menopause aspect.
Mm.
Just because that is something that I still hear a lot of mixed reactions to when it comes up in business contexts. So
Hmm.
definitely, I am curious to hear the wider answer, but for me, like that was the powerful part, hearing you talk about specifically that experience of like the brain fog, because I dealt with it
Yeah.
in my last role and I decided to be open about it, and the reception was a little odd.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so sorry you went through that at the same time. I am not surprised. I have worked for companies who say, we encourage you to bring your whole self to work. They do not. They really do not. So, as cynical as this sounds, like as much as you might feel like you really are friends with people that you work with, or you have a great rapport with your manager, I have sometimes learned the hard way that it's better to say less. My husband calls it living like a spy. I was recently in a situation where I feel like there was a little bit of bullying because we had a late night on Friday with some unexpected feedback coming in on this big project. And I was working with the product manager, and the lawyer until 6:30 to figure out how we would respond. And I said, hey, I'm going to sign off from my computer, but I'll have my work phone with me. My husband and I are headed out of town to do some wine tasting for the weekend. You can call me. I can respond on chat. Happy to join in whatever's happening. They didn't call me, and I found out later that they ended up having a 3-hour meeting that night. And when I brought it up later, they were like, well, you were out wine tasting. And it felt very negative, and they brought it up a few other times. And my husband Greg was like, don't ever say that. Do not say that. Say that you had a previous commitment that you could not miss. So just, I think it's important to have some transparency, but not full transparency. as much as it might feel like that's safe, it's really not. And I have learned that the hard way. So I think you can say, hey, I've been dealing with some health issues that are negatively affecting my performance. I might need to step away, something like that. But I would not get into the full details. It just, I've seen it not end well.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you everyone for the great questions. We have another from Charity. Charity, all yours.
Okay. Hi, Alexa.
Hey, Charity.
So I was kind of forced to resign
Mm,
from my position because of differences of work style and communication between my supervisor and I.
hmm
And I was planning on staying in my position for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's so hard. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm trying to decide what I want to do
Hmm
um, for a career. I was a health educator, and now I'm like, I feel like was too much stress, and I'm just want to know what advice you would give me.
Yeah, one thing that I think can be really overlooked is the opportunity to take on contract work, even for like a 3 month
Uh-huh.
or 6 month stint. Um, it was, it was challenging for me at Eventbrite. The company had previously had content designers, about 8 of them, laid them all off, and then hired me
Okay.
as a for a 6 month contract. So that was kind of an odd situation to be in. But I focused on the positives. I focused on providing whatever value I could. I focused on like creating a style guide, building rapport with my colleagues, and that allowed me time to decide whether I would want to stay on should I be given the option to do so. Um, ultimately, I was still in a situation where I
Mm-hmm.
really needed a paycheck. So I felt like, well, I better take this offer. But then, I didn't put everything into that, experience. I continued to look for other opportunities. And it really is true that it's a lot easier to find a job when you already have a job, just because it gives you some sort of
Mm-hmm.
level of confidence. So I would say, freelance work can be a good option if it's contract. You can sometimes even find part-time freelance work that's contract. And then even though, you probably are responsible for your own health insurance, you could have a more flexible schedule. You could be given the time to see, is this somewhere that I could see myself working? And then even freelancing on your own, it's not for everyone. It can be really tough to find clients. But sometimes if you have acquaintances in the space that you work in, you said like you're a health educator. Well, I know someone
Uh-huh.
who does puberty and menopause seminars, and she goes around to schools and gives them. And,
Hmm.
I could introduce you. Maybe she'd be interested in expanding to another area. Maybe she'd be interested in bringing you in under her brand. So I think it's
Okay.
important to look for a variety of options. Stay open to opportunities that might seem unusual, and use whatever connections you can find.
Okay. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Alexa, and thank you everybody for your questions, for being here. This is, a tough time for folks to go through. And Alexa, we appreciate, your candor and your openness about your own life experiences, and how you've, gotten through this and thrived. Definitely an inspirational story. So again, keep an eye, everyone, on all of those places we pointed out, our website, LinkedIn, Slack. We've got other events coming up this year, including our event in August with Jack Molisani that could be super helpful for those of you
Yeah.
who are actively interviewing and putting together portfolios and those kinds of things. So watch for that. for those of you who are local or local adjacent anyway, we would love to see you in July. So at our happy hour event. So keep that in mind too.
I'm thinking
And
about trying to make the flight for that.
yes, please do. That would be awesome. All right. So thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Alexa. And we'll hopefully see you again at one of our events. Good
Thank
night,
you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
if any of you had a question that you felt too shy to ask in a group setting, my contact information is on the screen. Find me on LinkedIn, send me an email. Sometimes I get super busy, but I'm always happy to talk and share advice.
Thanks you. That's so generous. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.